sales is considered as a profession that somebody gets into when they don't get anything else. So it's not something that has a degree to it.
People think sometimes like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to make so much money. Yeah, there's sacrifice in being an entrepreneur, and we have to realize that.
How do we expect people to deliver on the job? We are not training them, we are not educating them, we are not orienting them, and we just expect them to perform.
Most companies do not set us up for success as you just laid out. Like they think we have some idea of how to sell, they give us some product training, and off you go.
We are entrepreneurs, we have signed up to struggle and make things work. So don't let life stages, biases stop you. Just keep working towards your vision.
Your brain can't work if you don't exercise. Your brain can't work if your heart isn't healthy, if your muscles aren't strong. People don't realize the huge connection between muscles and brain power. Hi, I'm Alice Hyman, the host of Sales Talk for CEOs. I have this podcast because I want to share the stories of female founders who are building incredible companies while juggling family, health, finding funding, and of course, revenue growth. It's so important to me to share these stories, and I really want you to help me. So here's what you've got to do. 70% of you who listen and love the show haven't subscribed yet. Help me amplify these voices by hitting the subscribe button. And of course, then you won't miss an episode. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. It means the world to me. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome to the show, Nikita.
Thank you so much, Alice, for inviting me. I'm so excited to have a chat with you today.
Yeah, I can't wait to have our listeners hear your journey because I think it's a truly interesting one. And you have some unique things that happened to you and that you did when you started your company. So I want everyone to hear about that. So I want to take you back in time. And knowing that you spent 10 years working for really, really big companies like EY and Korn Ferry and PwC, what on earth possessed you to leave and start your own company?
Yeah, I think I get that question a lot. So I think what really got me to have my own company is the constant spirit and hunger to do more with my time, with myself, and really challenge my potential all the time when I hit a ceiling. So, yeah, so the experience with these consulting firms for 10 years had been amazing and a great foundation for me to be an entrepreneur. I worked with Fortune 100 clients across India, US, UK, and Dubai. I did a lot of work on digital transformation and executive coaching that's so close to my heart. And while I was doing all this work, I realized that human potential in general is not harnessed, if I can use that word, to its maximum capacity. And as executive coaches, we are just scratching the surface with CXOs. We are over coaching people who are already coached, who already know so much. But the talent which is so malleable, right at the bottom of the pyramid, who really need our help, we're not able to reach there. So that's what inspired me to start something using AI and tech that can reach every nook and corner of an organization, every single individual in the world who needs help, and build a killer career for themselves. And that cause, I think, was enough for me to combat all my fears and internal insecurities and just take the bet.
And I love what you built, which is called Eubrics. Such a wonderful platform that can be used for sales, which is what I love, but for really anything where people need to practice, they need training, and then they need to practice. And it's really a lovely platform. We'll definitely put it in the show notes. Now, you grew up in India and you went to school in India, and I was doing some research on you and saw that you have an electrical engineering degree, but you ended up in HR. So just pause for a moment and tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing as well. So I don't know if you know a lot of Indian culture, but I'll give you like a insight about it. So when I was growing up, I think things were not as open as they are today. So my parents were very sure you either become a doctor or an engineer, and between the two, I had to choose the lesser of the devil. So that was engineering, because I just cannot be a doctor. I cannot cut human bodies. That's not me. So yeah, I realized that out of the two, I can be a I can be an engineer maybe, and that's what I chose. In my 4 years of engineering, I had a lot of fun with machines. I just went into laboratories, worked on generators, motors, and whatnot. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time as an engineer. I think I'm a decent engineer too. But my calling was more towards how I can uh, learn more about humans, psychology, how people think. And that used to make me curious since I was a child. And therefore, I decided to pursue my master's in HR. And that's where I progressed and changed my trajectory, even, from a profession which is numbers, analytics, and science to something which is more human. And I'm so proud of it because I think that's what I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, and it's two very different things, but I think it really set you up well to be an entrepreneur because it gave you both sides, right? And that's very unique, I think. All right, so here you go into your first job at EY and you're working away and then you move through in Korn Ferry and then you're at PwC and you're really enjoying it. You had tremendous experiences, but you like you said, you got this idea and you really wanted to pursue it, but
Yeah.
like, what was going on with your family? Were they supportive? Were you married at the time? Or did you have to tell your fiance, oh, hey, by the way, I think I'm going to start a company?
Yes, so I was married at that time. So in fact, I would say that when it comes to my family and the support, um I think, yeah, I mean, they were a little scared, because after spending a good decade and up for becoming a partner in, and almost going to touch the dream milestone of my life, and I was too young at that time, so achieving that kind of professional accolade was big for the family. And therefore they were like, why would you destabilize something that you have built with so much of hard work? This is what you needed or wanted all your life. You worked so hard for it, and now when you're getting it, you just want to leave it, right? So it was hard for them to believe, and it was scary for them to get me into something which could be very unstable, that may test my limits, requires me to have sleepless, maybe sleepless nights and lot of anxiety. So I think they were not prepared. But my husband was like super supportive. He saw that dream in my eyes, I think, for a good couple of years before I quit my job. And I always used to talk about the ideas and how something in this space is really waiting to be disrupted. And he was quite sure that I should give it a shot, and this is the time if I need to. So yeah, so I spoke with my mom and got them to talk them through the whole thing. They were supportive at the end, and yeah, and my husband really pushed me into this. So that was something that I'm very fortunate, I would say. A little bit of hard work on pursuing my dreams, but yeah, I would say that I have a supportive ecosystem that I should be very grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. But I could see why your parents would be kind of nervous, especially because they wanted you to be an engineer. And then you
Exactly.
already changed careers and then you loved it and you're making a good living, right? Which is super important so you can help support your family and all those things. And then like really you're going to quit your job and have no income? I mean, that's risky for anyone, right? But you
Yeah.
didn't jump right into starting the business. So tell us about what your thoughts were. You left, and what were you thinking about how you were going to start the business and when you were going to start the business?
Yeah, so I think what I wanted to do was, before I start off, I just wanted, and every entrepreneur has their own philosophy. I had an idea of what the white space is looking like, where I felt that, sales teams across the world struggle the most when it comes to talent, capability. And in a lot of countries across the world, including India, sales is considered as a profession that somebody gets into when they don't get anything else. So it's not something that has a degree to it. Like, if you see any kind of degrees around, they'll be on marketing, they will not be so much on sales.
That is so true, Nikita, because there it's not considered like a profession that you go to school for, right? Although I will say this, if you go to salesfoundation.org, you can find all of the colleges and universities in the United States that have some sort of sales program. Some have a degree, some have a
Yeah.
minor, and some even have advanced degrees in sales, but it's still a very small portion.
Exactly. And I think more importantly, awareness, right? For example, I didn't know about these resources that you're talking about, Alice. And I'm sure a lot of people like me would not,
No.
right? So I realized that generally across the world, this is a very big problem where people are neither educated on this profession nor is it treated seriously. So then, how do we expect people to deliver on the job? We are not training them, we are not educating them, we are not orienting them, and we just expect them to perform. And it is perhaps provably the highest, one of the highest anxiety professions, right? You have constant performance anxiety. People are badgered for not performing,
Yes.
for not moving numbers.
And there's high
It is
turnover, especially in the
exactly.
early days when you're in the when you're a sales development rep, an SDR, or a BDR, business development rep. That turnover is so high. And even in early days of AEs, the account executives, because the pressure is tremendous, and and we're not set up for success as salespeople, right? Most companies do not set us up for success, as you just laid out. Like they think we have some idea of how to sell. They give us some product training and off you go.
Exactly, right. And it feels so unsafe. So I think that's what I felt is a very big white space where we can formalize the whole structure, create a safe space, and a very unique way of helping every seller evolve into their best version. It's not necessarily a copy paste that, Alice does this as a killer seller. Now Nikita also needs to do the same thing to be a good seller. No, Nikita can arrive at her own code. And that's the beauty of this profession, that you can have very distinct paths and you all can converge at the same point, which is your numbers. And that's the space that Eubrics provides them by using agents and AI and a lot of technology to help them practice their pitches, understand really well about their own problems, their own limitations, and combat them in a safe environment. They're not testing that on their customers or with their managers. They
That's
are
what I
doing
always
it.
say. We're out there practicing on our customers. What a great idea. Not, right? Okay, so in this time, it was about 3 years from when you actually left your job till you actually started the company. Were you kind of just letting this idea blossom? What were you focused on? Were you focused on your personal health, your family? What kinds of things were you doing in that time?
Yeah, so I think it was sometime around a year that I took before I started my own company, between when left my job. And then that 1 year, I worked on this idea that I thought is very critical. I wanted to be, my philosophy was to be more responsible with my customers and my investors. And therefore, I did a lot of prototyping, research. I worked with different consulting firms and bodies of universities to understand the depth of this domain. And I built a lot of models that I tested, A/B tested in different environments with clients. And when I was certain that, yeah, this is something that can produce the value that I'm foreseeing, at that time I decided that, okay, I need a co-founder, because this will have its core DNA in form of technology, right? So, and I can't outsource that. So therefore I built prototypes, tested it, scouted for my co-founder, somebody I can work very well with. And yeah, after I thought that all the basic ingredients of a startup are now in place, at that time I decided to take a plunge. And you may be wondering that I could have done all of that with my job. I think it's more about personality. I do what I do with my all my energy. So I don't want to cheat on my job and then do something else, or cheat on my business and do my job. I don't do that. So
Yeah.
as a person, I give my full focus, want to give
Yeah,
my
I think
best.
that's so important. But sometimes, right, we don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to quit before we start. And your family was probably at that point somewhat supportive because you kind of talked them into it, it sounds like. And so you were able to say, okay, we're going to reduce our expenses, our income's going to go down right now, and it's going to be for a period of time until we start.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And
That's
so sacrifice, right? It's not people think sometimes like, "Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to make so much money." And yeah, there's sacrifice in being an entrepreneur and we have to realize that. All right. So now you said something so interesting, which I knew about you, which is you went and found a co-founder. Now, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I talked to, they were sitting around with some friends or somebody they worked with, and they clinked their beer glasses and said, "Let's go start a business." Right? I've heard a lot of tales like that. You didn't have a partner when you started this. You were formulating all these ideas, testing all of these ideas, getting ready, and then you're like, "Okay, I need a technical co-founder." Now, how does one go about finding a technical co-founder when it's not like in your friend group or your work group?
Yeah, it's hard. I would say that it was one of the hardest things that I had to do. Um, and quite honestly, it depends a lot of times on some chances and luck that comes your way. But I'll tell you what I did. I am very perseverant as a person, so if I need to do something, I would keep chasing it, keep trying it with different ways. And I just believe in the odds and probabilities. So I think that engineering really helped me doing that. So I believe that if you try enough number of times, things start working out. It's not being lucky. It's just you know just
Persistence, persistence.
just probabilities. Probabilities of happening things. You just increase your maximize your chances. So what I did was I obviously reached out to all my friends, asked them to connect me with more number of people, yeah, in their circles, so my relatives, my friends, everybody, that this is what I'm looking for. I went back to my college and my engineering school and every place where I could have reached out to more number of people who could be keen on this. I put it on LinkedIn, I put it on Y Combinator, Antler, all the kind of accelerators in the world. So I made a list of all accelerators. I enrolled everywhere, gave messages in all directions that I'm looking for a co-founder and this is what it is going to be. And yeah, I did like lots and lots of running around hustling to meet different people. and
It's
uh,
like
and then
speed networking. Okay, let me set up another meeting and see if this is the right person to be my
exactly.
co-founder.
Exactly, right. So and I kept evolving my process, my criteria, as I met more number of people. And yeah, and in this journey you would also feel, Alice, that the first person you bump into, you feel like, okay, let's sign up, right? It's very hard to resist that, because when you are not having anybody and you find one person who is willing to sort of join the crew and who's looking okay in terms of qualifications, you feel like, okay, let me just jump into it. But it's a very important decision. It may feel like I'm just giving an advice when I don't have to face it, but I can tell you I faced this so many times. I bumped into so many people and deliberately decided that I'm not going ahead. While if you see their profiles, they're like perfect fit with good engineering background, Silicon Valley engineers, experienced CTOs. But there are multiple factors that one should consider when they are looking at the co-founder, and that's not just about technical qualifications that they bring to the table. It's about complementarity. It's about somebody plugging your weakest points, and somebody who is able to work with you, trust you, you can trust that person. You need to build that over a period of time. And I think if that doesn't happen, it could be far more fatal for a startup than not having anybody.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of startups that fall apart before they barely begin because the co-founders can't get along, and I've seen it so many times. All right, so where did you find well, I want to know how many approximately did you talk to? How many potential co-founders? This sounds like the dating game now, right? How many dates did you go on before you found this co-founder, and where did you find him?
Yes. So I basically, just to answer that first question, I think I would have met easily more than 50 plus people, is what I feel.
Wow.
And I don't have exact count, but that's broadly in the vicinity of it. Every week I used to meet like 3 to 4 people. Somebody's calling me and I'm talking to people different. I bumped into a lot of weird people as well. So yeah, I had my own journey. And I found my current co-founder Maxim at Y Combinator co-founder matching portal, where I just signed up just like other accelerators that I'm looking for a co-founder. These are my expectations. Can we talk? And so on and so forth. And it was such an amazing experience because from day one, when we connected, we were so sure that we want to do a sprint together. We had aligned philosophies in terms of no strings attached. If we are not able to find that, that complementarity and the kind of work vibe that we needed, and we did that for 3 months, and then we decided to go ahead.
Oh, so you actually worked together for 3 months before you made the final decision. So he was working on your project with you to help you
Yes.
advance it, but also learning how it was to work with you to work with him. And it ended up, yeah, we can do this. So, what year was it when you guys decided, okay, we're ready? We have a website, we can go get a customer?
Yeah, so it was sometime around mid of 2022 that we decided that okay, let's do this.
Okay. And so then how did you get your first customer? Because I'm assuming it was just the two of you at the beginning and you were doing all the selling.
Yes, so a lot of doors being knocked. So my first go to was more about going into my network. I was a consultant. I had so many people that I knew in the industry who helped me build this product. So knock the doors of my clients, of my ex-employers, and my first customer was PwC, which was like, okay, this is too much to handle, but yeah, they loved the whole idea, and they said that let's try a pilot with you guys. And it was a big pilot. We did it with 1,000 people, so it was not really a pilot,
That was your
but
first customer, 1,000 people on your platform.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
What were some of oh my goodness. What were some of the challenges that went along with bringing on a first customer that big?
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff that we did at that time, the challenges I would say first was how do we create a scalable architecture, because that was like a big user base. But thankfully, because my co-founder comes with lot of seasoned in-depth engineering experience with Apple, I think he could manage that very well. So that was first challenge that we had. The second was all about defining protocols of how we would do this, who will we interact with, how will we go live, what will be the communications. So creating the whole charter, aligning all the stakeholders between just him and me, and running with a two people team was another thing, which is more operationally how do we make this happen. And I think yeah, and then of course a lot of pressure in terms of quality performance. So we did a lot of stress test on the platform before we went live with PwC with I think 15 to 20 startups who were our friends. So we did free rollouts with 15 to 20 startups, and
That
they
had smaller
stress
groups of
tested.
people.
Yeah, so they stress tested it. They used it, hacked the system, tried breaking it, so that if we have any kind of learnings before the go live, we are not testing it on our clients. So
Right.
we
Wow.
did.
That's so smart, right? So smart. Plus, then, of course, those testers can have the opportunity to become a customer later on, also. So that's smart as well. Now, were you in the US or were you in India during this really busy startup phase?
The first phase was launched in India. So we both, me and my co-founder, both were in India at that time.
Hmm. And then when was it that you decided you needed to come to the US? Was it when you started thinking about getting funding?
Yeah, yeah, sometime around that. To 2023 was when we started thinking about funding and expanding our customer base. We are a B2B company, so B2B has the highest potential across the world in the US, and therefore it was an obvious choice. But because I had initial network in India, some credentials, some success stories, some credibility before we go and hit another market.
All founders need to tap their own network. It's so important. All right. So, what was your family doing at this time? You don't have any kids yet, but you have a husband. You were probably working a lot of hours. What did that look like? And how were you taking care of yourself during that time?
Yeah, so I think yeah, everything was fine. We just had like a little bit of change of dynamics. I used to always check in on my husband, asking that is this bothering you, but we found our own time where we would spend quality time. So for me, Alice, I would say, I don't know if this works for everybody, but I can tell you from my relationship perspective, I believe, and thankfully for my husband also, that's true. I believe in a lot of quality time. It's not about spending hours. Earlier, I had 5 hours. Now I only have zero point 0.5 hours. No, I think what you do in that time, how do you connect with each other? Sometimes you feel that you have a 20-minute connection with someone, and that feels like lifetime connection. It's so deep, it's so intense that you feel like, okay, that person understands you, you understand that person, and you're able to spend that quality time. And sometimes it's about you spending whole days and months and years with somebody, and you still don't feel that gratification inside. So I think uh, that is something we were able to create, like more of quality spots in our life, lesser, much fewer, much fewer, but consistent. uh, an hour of movie, good enough, we had like a great time, we understand each other. And I think the glue has always been that we can see each other's aspirations and dreams, and therefore we are responsible for pushing that forward, right? So we can contribute, and we need to be the accelerator, not a decelerator
Yeah.
in each other.
Well, and it's easier before you have kids, of course, because there's a little more leeway, right? But
Exactly.
still, there are those 16-hour days when, you're on a project and you're just not going to put it down until you get to a certain point. That's what
Exactly.
startup life is like. And so if you don't have a support system, it can be really hard. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but it's really easier if you get everyone around you kind of bought into what you're doing and understanding what it's going to be like so they can support that, right?
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
that's something that some women really have a struggle with. They don't ask for the support and the help that they need. And so they're trying to be a mom and take care of their parents and trying to fit in a little time for themselves and their spouse. And they're also trying to build a company or run a company, and that is hard.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that is true for me also many days, right? I try to do too many things in one shot, and I feel that, it's not easy. I'm not able to do it. But I feel it's about constant calibration. These are all pieces that can move simultaneously. It's just that some days you move something and some other days you move. You just have to be on the balancing act all the time. So I think that I did. And the second thing I feel, which you are absolutely right, and this is true for I think both men and women, all the founders, which is that the expectations and their partners don't understand what they are getting into. So that clarity, that honest conversation, uh, is very important, because sometimes people just don't know what they're signing up for.
Yeah, no, they just really don't. And I think even, a lot of founders don't really understand what the journey is going to be. And of course, it's hard to know before you get there, but it is a lot sometimes. And if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to be even harder. But I know that you have some routines, and we had talked about your father and how he helped instill some of those. And I'd like you to share those for our listeners because I think they're so important. Even though we're busy, even though we have to finish a project, even though it might be midnight, all of those things may all be true. Maybe you have kids and elderly parents, all those things might be true, but you've got to take care of yourself. So tell us a little bit about how you do that.
Okay. So yeah, so I have been quite meticulous since very early age. So I usually try to do my workouts, hit the gym regularly since I was 18, and that is something that I had a very strong conditioning from my father, where he always told me that. Since I remember, I recall from my school days when I was in, I think, third standard or something, that you have to move forward, and you have to be damn good at what you do. And that means you need to take care of yourself, right? So your health is important, what you eat is important, how you spend your time, your day is important. So your mental health, your physical health, your resilience will be those superpowers that will give you independence to take your decisions. And it's not going to be easy, but it will, these superpowers will always stay with you when you are in this journey and you're facing issues. So for me, For his always he would always push me to always take care of myself, my body, look good, take care of my my marks, my credentials, my education, my finances. So he would always educate me, advise me, push me. Sometimes if he sees that I'm not on the track, he will bring me back on the track. But I have always, with lot of discipline, lot of grit, I have ensured that this is followed. So I would always take time out for my workouts, even if I have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, even if I have not slept for many hours, I would still do that. I would ensure that I don't eat junk even if I'm in immense stress. Some days I allow myself cheat days, but I've conditioned myself to see food as not something like a source of gratification. Always it's nutrition, and therefore it has to be consumed in that way. And always clocking metrics: how many steps, how many exercises, what all calories. I do that in a method, in a measurement system. I have pedometer, I have apps that track my progress. Every second month I go for my blood checks, vitals and everything, so that my body is in the way it should be. Yeah, it has been a little bit of.
They're not exercising. I mean, I'm guilty of it some days too, right? You look up and realize what time it is. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of my seat, right? But I think we have to be conscious of it and build a
Yes.
routine that works for us. Everybody's different. I could not, for the life of me, exercise at 4 in the morning, but I can do it at 3 in the afternoon and take that break and then come back if I have to do some more work. So I think everyone has to find that spot and then get the support. And especially if you have kids, right? Somebody's got to watch those kids while you're exercising or, whatever works, however that works out. But you've got to get everybody around you to understand. And on my team, I want everyone to exercise. I want them to take breaks. I want them to go outside and I want them to exercise. When I was younger, and you might kind of know this from your days at the big, EY and Korn Ferry and all that, they kind of work you to death, right? They don't really encourage taking breaks and they don't really encourage go out and exercise. They want you to be in your seat working. And so we have to make those boundaries for ourselves. And I think your generation is much better at it than mine because, the boomers, this was what we learned. So now I really applaud the young people who do make sure they make time for themselves. And I think as an entrepreneur, it is so critical because your muscles, and your heart and everything in your body that makes your brain work. Your brain can't work if you don't exercise. Your brain can't work if your heart isn't healthy, if your muscles aren't strong. People don't realize the huge connection between muscles and brain power. So I think it's just wonderful that you do it. Now, yes, sometimes we fail at it, but we get back. We maybe go a day or two. It's not exactly the way we wanted. We get back on track. Like you said, your dad would push you to get back on track, right?
Yeah,
And maybe everyone needs someone to push them to get back on track. So think about who's your accountability partner for your health, and
exactly.
then make sure that they know what you do and what you don't do, so they can encourage you to get back on track. Right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. So now you needed to get to the U.S. to get funding, probably, right? And so when did you guys just decide that you should start looking for some funding?
I think it was around 2023 when we decided to sort of. We had built a team by then. We had got enough clients who could give us more stable revenue.
Ah, that's right, because you started off with some small ones who weren't paying, but then one big one that was paying. So you were generating revenue quite early.
Yes. So we started with our company with generating revenue. So we had got some stability. However, we definitely wanted, we had like basic nuts and bolts, basic team, engineers, couple of people who are talking to the clients, delivering. So we had like our first set of hires done in 2022 to 23. However, to scale up our models, to really go out after big clients, build our brand, 2023 to 25 were the years when we did all of that. And that was the time we realized we need funding, because we would be experimenting a lot more, we would hire some amazing people, and therefore we need more cash. So yeah, so that was the trigger for us to really explore US as a market, and therefore we need more capital.
So let me pause for a second on the funding and go back to you actually, since you were cash flow positive, you actually were hiring people. So it was you and your co-founder. And then did you first hire technical people or did you first hire go to market people, like someone to care for the customers after you landed them?
We hired both. We hired at it was like parallel hiring. We hired two customer people, so one GTM and one project delivery, and we hired two engineers. So that was our first team. Four of them, two of us, like six of us, really pulling the weight from right from doing cold calling to delivering to creating good product, iterating. We had like basics among six of us sorted.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you were still doing most of the selling, though. They might be helping you get
Yes.
appointments and find customers, but you were the one talking to them and helping them understand what to purchase, right?
Oh, even today, I mean, I enjoy this process. Even today, I do a lot of selling. I would say, at least now we have like fast forwarding. I have so many channels through which I sell. I have Deloitte, PwC selling our product in the market. So I really don't have to go out and sell it myself, but I do that irrespective because it's something that I believe as a founder I need to know. I need to know what my customers are speaking about. What are their pain points? How do I really help them arrive at a good decision for themselves? So so far till date, even today, I do that.
That's amazing. And I think it's wonderful, really. And I mean, only being 5 years in, I think it is good for the founder to still be involved. And I always say that the CEO, founder, has a role in sales, and they'll always have a role in sales, but that role will change as the company matures. And
Right.
so I do think it's always good, though, to be boots on the ground with your salespeople, listening to customers a couple times a year, right? At least.
Yes.
Because you do get to a point where there's a lot of other things to do, but that sales part is so, so important. All right, jumping back to the funding. So everybody, wants to get funding. And we know that still female CEOs, female and in tech, still only get less than 2% of the funding, but you got funded. So tell us what your journey was. How did you find the right funders? Because I always tell people, oh my gosh, you don't want to take money from the wrong funders. It will be your nightmare for many years to come. So how did you go about finding funders and how did you find the right ones?
Yeah, I think it's more about again the same thing that I did for my co-founder, and I think I follow something similar. Make a list of your hit list. Who are the people who fit into what we are doing, who believe in that? So reduce the sources of friction between you and the potential VC, because VCs have a very clearly defined broadcasted thesis. So try to sort of, it's a simple process, hard to get funding, but process is pretty straightforward, and one should just keep repeating that. So first is make your list of top A, B, and C categories of VC. Who are your most likely, the best ones in terms of their thesis, in terms of their investments, what they bring to the table apart from the capital, the plain capital, what they bring. Are they able to support us in our journey at an early stage as a founder? uh, we all need to consider that, because we are not looking just for capital, we are
Right.
looking for support, decisions, enablement, and the right balance of them not intruding but enabling us, right? So I think those are very important criteria, and you get that information on Crunchbase, on different review platforms very very easily. So that list has to be created, and then the viraling effect has to kick in. So we have to reach out, just hire a few people who can sort of start reaching out to these VCs, their partners, their junior analysts, and different types of audiences, create different messages for them, and just go very very custom tailored on their propositions, what they are looking for. We started getting our meetings, and we tried with our type C first, because we wanted to practice our pitch, see how it is responded to, whether we are there or not, because we would make mistakes. So assuming that you have a perfect pitch is like the biggest myth. So there's no perfect pitch, so it has to be iterated with every single conversation. It has to be improved. Lot of hard work goes into it. You need to meet 200 VCs, 200 people, and then you arrive at a point where you know what you're talking about, and then it's just about yes or no. And then the process becomes much more fast track. You already know that you're converting this or not, right? So I think that's what happened with us, funneling and constant iteration for good 4 months, and then we were able to close our round.
Yeah, and I like what you said about making your list and then you started on your C's. Get appointments with them first and kind of practice there, because if they don't pick you, it's okay. If more than one company offers to fund you, that's great too. You have choices. Anybody's money, right? Because that's not going to go well for you. And I think sometimes we get so afraid, oh my gosh, maybe nobody else will give us money, so I'll just take this money. I'll take this investment. But we're looking for people who support our ideas, who believe what we believe, who will open their networks and introduce us to people, who will be there to support us and help us. I had a female tech CEO the other day tell me that um, one of the people who work at the VC firm that funded her, she asked, could she please move the board meeting because she needed to have a procedure, and she had arranged everything and everybody had agreed and she was having her procedure, and one of them called her and said, could you move that procedure? It's very inconvenient for me that you're not having the board meeting on the regular day. And she was like, what? I mean, I have a health issue. I need to have this procedure, right? So be careful who you take money from. Are
Yeah.
they going to respect you? Are they going to respect that you have a life? And are they going to be kind and helpful? I think that's really important. So it sounds like you talked to a lot. Do you have any idea how many VCs you pitched to before you chose?
I think it should be 100 plus, I think.
100 plus. Wow. That's a full-time job.
That's a full-time job.
So how was the company running while you were doing that? Just kind of in between, you were.
I think so. What has happened is that me and my co-founder, again, we do a lot of complementary things, and we just are able to sort of help each other in a lot of ways. While he handles tech and I handle GTM, but the overlapping areas like operations, fundraiser, we both are quite equipped, and we have very sharp business acumen that comes if you have spent significant number of years in industry as a leader. Then, I mean, for both of us, that's true that we understand how to lead organizations independently. So therefore both of us can technically serve as, anybody can go out and raise capital. So he sort of did this with me, and therefore we were able to get to multiple directions, and yeah, make it happen with our limited bandwidth.
Yeah.
uh,
Wow. So you were living in the US for quite some time while you were raising funds. Now, how did you kind of juggle? So your husband's in India, your family's in India, and you're still doing this today, going back and forth. But in those days when you were really focused on fundraising, you were probably in the US quite a bit. Did that impact your relationships, or how did that go?
no, I think it has been like okay for me. It has taken a little bit of learning curve, I would say. So, initially, what kind of how can I make those trips, how during those trips, how do I ensure my relationship, my health, my other priorities are on track. So it just took like a little bit of learning curve, but it wasn't that problematic, I would say, because I always have those, the timed goals, like in 3 months we have to do this, in 2 months we have to go for this. So it's more like my entire focus is towards that goal, and I try to work around other pieces in that capacity.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys obviously chose wisely and you have funders now, which is amazing and really terrific. And I had asked you before we started recording if you felt like being a woman put you in maybe a different place with the funders, or if you felt like they were considering you equally. And so I want to just hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think no, I have not faced that kind of explicit bias in terms of, because you're a woman, we would not fund you or anything of that sort. And I don't think people say that as well. So, so I would not say that I have bumped into anybody who would just be explicit or even implicitly referring to me being a woman and therefore they would not fund me. But yeah, there are certain priorities that are important for clients and for investors both, which is that, am I going to start a family soon? Because that is going to distract my energy. It will require me to take time off. In my absence, what are the guardrails where business will keep running? Who are the next line of people? So I think it requires a lot of planning as an entrepreneur. If I am thinking of any of the life stages as a woman which will come to my life, I need to be prepared for it, because again, everybody who is a part of this ecosystem, whether they are VCs or clients, they expect a plan, a backup plan, right? So I think that is something that I feel is expected, and especially with women that becomes very critical. I have worked on a lot of diversity and inclusion initiatives with Korn Ferry, so I understand the sensitivity about this topic. But I always believe that this is reality, this is life stages for women, is a reality.
It's a
So
reality, and we have to just, look at that as it is. And like you said, make a plan so we can work through it, but still take care of ourselves, right? Because there's always going to be something. You're separated from your husband. Yes, you worked it out and you visit, but that was something you were like, okay, how are we going to do this chapter now? Right. And but you had to have good communication, and you had to work it out to make it work. And I think these are things that we all do, and we just have to be aware of them. And um, I think communication and planning are just critical, like you're talking about. Okay, so just bring us up to where you are now. How many people work at your company? What is it? Mostly GTM professionals, a lot of engineers. How does that look? And where are you now that you have funding and you have customers and you have people working for you?
yeah, I think it's good now. I would say that it's a much more stable place to be in. We have around 30 plus enterprise customers across the world, where we predominantly have our most of the revenue coming from US now. So we have established a presence here. We have got now 15 plus people in our team, where most of the people are engineers, and some of them are now taking care of sales here in San Francisco and in India. Most of our engine runs on engineering and sales as two core functions. We are now $1 million revenue company, and we are looking to raise our next round to become multi-million-dollar company. So that's where we are, and we believe that the power that we have created with the solution has started touching lives beyond enterprises to mid-sized and small-sized companies also. So we are truly going very, very democratic and focused on our agenda to help salespeople and improve revenue numbers to an extent that it's a no-brainer decision for enterprises.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so
that's
that's where
such an exciting place to be, Nikita. I just love that so much for you. All right, so as we wind up the show, I like to do this section called words from the wise. We're wiser than we were when we started our companies, right? Is there anything that you wish you would have known when you first started?
Okay, yeah. I think I would say that, and maybe this is just for me as in the context, but I come from consulting background, right? So I am very used to creating big plans, strategies, big bold
Mhm.
visions. But I wish I knew how much entrepreneurship is about execution.
Mm, yeah.
It is so much about execution. It was like completely shifting gears and reinventing myself. So last 4 years have been a complete reset to me, and I cannot be more grateful. But now I realize the importance of doing things, moving forward, progressing, doing something. It's okay, do something. So if I
Something
would
is better
have.
than nothing usually, right? And we can plan and plan and plan, but at some point we actually have to act.
Exactly. And I feel that with for all entrepreneurs who are listening to me in this session, women entrepreneurs especially, because we all hold ourselves back. We
Mm.
think that we will always raise our hand when we are 150% ready, and men will raise their hand when they are 70% ready. Start raising your hand, start showing up, start doing anything. I'm saying just do crap, let things fail, let things go completely down the drain. All you are wasting is your time that you have put and committed to in your startup. But let things move forward,
Yeah.
backwards,
Try and
sideways.
fail. It's okay because it's what's shaping your company,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
I
You
love
learn
that. Yeah.
how to do this better. Einstein learned after 99 attempts. So we all learn. But the importance of action is something that Eubrics has taught.
Yeah. Well, this may be the same answer, but what is something you want to say to other female founders? I know you've met some others, and you probably have had some conversations. And what's something you want to say to women who are maybe thinking about starting or have already started, or maybe they're even 5 or 10 years in? What's something you think that really matters?
I think two things very important. First is don't think about stereotypes, biases. Somebody is thinking something about you. You're not getting something because you're a woman. Just shed all these biases in your head. You need to believe that you can do this. You will have to perhaps knock 200 doors and a man would have to knock only 100, but that's okay. You can knock 200 doors because this is your vision. You have to take responsibility for it and accept life stages as a reality of your life. Do not run away from it, stop cribbing about it. It's fine. Like, men are facing some different challenges that we are not aware of, and they are not aware of our challenges, which is fine. It's a level playing field at a broader level, and even if it is not, it's okay. We are entrepreneurs. We have signed up to struggle
Yeah.
and make things work. So don't let life stages, biases stop you. Just keep working towards your vision.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, Nikita, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time. And please tell everyone where they can find you and where they can find Eubrics.
Yes, so we are available on www.eubrics.com, and you can find me on my LinkedIn. You can just type Nikita Jain, PWC, and I think most likely you'll see the same picture. I look like Alice is saying that I'm not aging, which is good. So yeah, so that's what it is.
And if you do go on LinkedIn to find Nikita, please tell her that you met her on my show.
Yes, please do that.
Well, thank you to all our listeners, and thank you for being here with us, Nikita, and sharing your journey.
Thank you so much, Alice, for inviting me. I had wonderful time today, and I think this whole piece of the podcast that you're doing, it's a
Yeah.
it's a voice that we are sending out in the world, and I'm very certain that it will have its own effect around us. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for doing this stellar job and involving us in your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.